So, welcome to Books and Babble.
Welcome.
We have a crazy book discussion
Yes.
to talk about.
Yes.
But first, I thought it'd be fun if we play a game.
Okay.
So,
Oh, we got bananas.
I was wondering if you were going to notice I put that there.
I was actually thinking about eating one here in a little bit.
Well,
That is
they'll
hilarious.
be close by if you decide to.
Beautiful nanners. Well, they're getting ready to get eaten.
Okay. So I thought it'd be fun if we try and guess each other's answers to questions about the book.
Okay.
The books that we wrote, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. So my first question.
I'm kind of nervous about this, by the way.
No, it'll be
Okay.
fun. It'll be fun. So we wrote underneath us. Just try and get that to stay up.
Here, try to put it on another book.
Okay. We wrote The Curse, and we wrote A Frivolous Chestnut Holiday. So, my question now, okay, A Frivolous Chestnut Holiday, nobody dies, right? So this question doesn't really pertain. But also, spoiler alerts. If you ever read any of these books and you plan on it.
Oh, we're spoiling. We're
Yeah.
spoiling it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have not read any of these and you want to skip ahead. Okay, so my question is basically out of The Curse and Underneath Us, if you had the ability to bring one character back from the dead, so somebody who died, who would you pick?
And then both of them.
Yeah. But, well, out of all the ones we've written.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, nobody really died in this one, so really it's between these two.
Okay.
And then you have to try and guess who I pick.
Okay.
And I have to guess who you're gonna pick.
Okay. I gotta try to guess who.
Do you want to narrow it down by book? Or should we just leave it up and say, out of all the books we've written, which one you want to do?
Probably narrow it down by book. 'Cause
Okay.
There's quite a death in book.
Okay, so like, which one do you want to do?
Let's do The Curse.
Okay, so out of The Curse. Okay.
So, do you have somebody?
Let me think. If I could bring one person back. Okay, I have a person.
You have a person?
Yeah. If I could bring anyone back, I think it would be this one.
All right. Is it Victoria?
No.
Well, we kind of do bring her back.
Yeah, true. She's dead and then she
dies
comes back.
at the end, but like,
Yeah.
she is brought
That's
back.
fair.
So that's kind of iffy. Okay.
I know for a fact, 1000% I know who you brought back.
Go ahead.
You brought back Sophie.
I did bring back
Yeah.
Sophie. I like Sophie. We lost her earlier on, but she's young, and I think there was potential for her character to grow because
Sure.
she ended up there, and
Yeah.
I think she would have been really neat to see grow up into becoming a witch.
Yeah, it didn't happen. But she plays a part in the story later on, which was significant, so.
Oh, I know. Her finger.
If you've read the book, you get what that means.
I know. Alright.
I would bring back Seth.
Oh.
Because I think Iris is my favorite character, and so and I love her character arc.
Yeah.
And I think that her and Seth totally should have been able to be together in the end, and Seth's death was very significant because then they were able to break the curse.
Yeah.
And without his death, they wouldn't have been able to do that. So it was crucial that he die.
Yeah.
But I would bring him back because I think him and Iris would have been like such a great duo together. And I liked their characters' interactions the whole book too. So I would bring Seth back.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I agree. Okay, now for this one.
I mean, immediately I know. I already know who I would bring back.
You would bring Sam back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Would you?
Oh man, I would bring the mother.
Oh.
I would bring the
Interesting.
mother back. And the reasoning is because like I if the mother was not dead and the mother was down below and then Lucy would end up finding her mother, that would be another whole story and it would turn out totally different.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah,
We should have done that.
yeah, because then like
That would have been a really interesting twist to be like, she ends up with the mom and yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I love our ending.
But I love Sam though, so.
Yeah, Sam was always my favorite character when we were writing it. He provides such humor to the story, which is much needed through everything that they go through. But yeah, and his death was so sad too. It was so sad. Yeah, very tragic, and I think poor Freya too. So
yeah, poor Freya to stab him.
Yeah, I mean, she loves him, but she stabbed him, and that was awful, and she felt terrible about it. And then she had to live knowing that she killed him and only had one limb too. So she had a rough go at the end.
Yes, that's true. A broken heart and a limb loss.
Yeah, that's a bad day.
Yeah,
that's a bad day.
But yeah, definitely. I could see Sam, and I could see, So what are we gonna do with the holiday?
Well, since nobody dies, so we could do like, who's your favorite character, or we could do let's see.
I would have to say the aunt, and not the one with the cat, but the other aunt. Ethel.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna draw me. I like Ethel. She brings a lot to it. She's funny, and so I would have to say it's Ethel.
Yeah, I think Ethel's my favorite. The Jack chapters are very funny too, though. Like, Jack is a close second for me.
Yeah.
And Chestnuts in a Pickle, the second one, which isn't out yet, but it's
going to be soon.
And I like the fact that in this one you learn more about Edna, which I like, because the first one really, with the aunts, it's like Ethel's the one family member that you get a lot of information from.
Yes.
So I would have to say Ethel, with Jack as a close second, because I love Jack's scenes. The fact that the poor guy tries so hard to sabotage the Chestnut Holiday, and
it never.
And he just keeps messing up. He keeps messing up. He's having a hard time. And it's so funny.
And I like the way he just kind of like gives in at the end. He's like, okay, I give it.
The fact that he, like, when he falls off the roof right into the snow and they find him and they're like, okay, who is this elf that fell from the sky? And Grace is like, wait, I know this guy. And he's just like surrounded by the whole Chestnut family, and he's like, what's going on? Kind of confused, and he's like, Loretta welcomes him in to stay for the holiday.
Yep.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really cute.
So funny.
I loved it.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, and I think everybody's gonna like the pickle too.
Yeah, because there are definitely, like, you don't have to read the first one to get the second, but there's definitely moments in the second book where we tied in stuff that happened in the first book.
Yes.
Which makes it funnier.
And then our next one is going to be a surprise for next year. We're doing something special with the Chestnuts next year. So.
Yes, yeah. That one's so good.
Yeah.
People are going to really like that one. Because I think that one is my favorite. Should we
tell just the books and Babble so they know?
Oh, a special, like, books and Babble special release?
I think we should, because there's only, like, I think we should.
Yeah.
So next year for the Chestnuts, we're not going to do a Christmas chestnut.
Nope.
We're doing Chestnuts Halloween.
Yep.
And so the whole premise is, you guys are getting like a little tidbit that we're working on, so that's awesome. But the whole premise is they have this tree farm and they're getting ready for the holidays, but what are they going to do with it? And so she comes up with an idea on how to make money with it. And so they have a haunted house, and Instead of Santa letters, we're gonna get little Boo letters in there.
Yep.
And so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a really cute idea.
Yeah.
And the way it flows, there's a new character, and he's so funny.
Yes.
He is so funny.
Yeah.
New character, so funny. And half of the book is told in his perspective too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of like in the first book where we had Jack was, it was from Jack's perspective half the time.
Yes.
So it's set up similarly, where half the time it's in the perspective of the new character, and it's so good. Yeah. The Halloween. So yeah, the Chestnuts are hosting Haunted House on the farm, and got a new character. It's really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that one.
Yeah. That one's cute.
Yeah. So that's a really special one.
All right. I think we should jump into book discussion because I know we have a lot to say about this.
And I have notes.
Yeah.
So
we read another portion of. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Okay, so we read another portion of The Shade of the Moon, which is the fourth and last book in.
Now, is it the world that we live in? Hold on.
No, that's the third one. She's trying to find her notes. And if you missed last week's Books and Babble, then, or I guess if you watched it, then you know that we were so frustrated last week when we read the first part of the book.
Yes.
We hated it, basically.
Yes. It dropped off on something that,
Yeah, it dropped a big bomb that we were extremely frustrated with. And so we read the next section, and to me, it got worse. I think it just got worse. I mean, the first part was, so the first section, I was like, okay, John is
a spoiled
horrible.
Brat. Spoiled brat.
He is so horrible. But now this second, the section we just read, they left off on such a bad place because I was irritated because not only was I now pissed off with John, the main character, I now hate the story. And I'm so frustrated. So I'm talking specifically about the mom dying, Laura.
Yeah.
The fact that and that's like right where we left off. So I'm like dying to see like what happens next. But I'm so frustrated with the fact that they killed her off, and they killed her off in that manner too. And the fact that John seemed to like not care either was like so weird. And like I was so frustrated. I was like, justice for Laura. I was so mad. I really liked the mom throughout the whole series, and the fact that just out of the blue they kill her off in such a gruesome manner. And oh man, I was so mad at the author for doing that. And I was like, so now reading through the story, not only do I hate John, now I hate the story because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're killing off the few characters that I actually like.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I feel like okay, within my notes, because I did take a lot of notes, John talks to his mom in this one, and at the beginning, and they try to make him out to be like a better person. Like the mother does say like, I don't even know you anymore. But I feel like they really tried to make him a more likable person.
Sure.
And they're like, well, I didn't actually grape her. I just tried. And I felt like I owed it. And even looking back on it, he's like, I was owed it.
I wrote down a quote.
Like that.
I wrote down a quote from that section where he was going over specifically what happened and he was talking about it. And he specifically said, I did everything to protect her, but she resisted and paid the price. Talking about like the tornado and being like, I was trying to protect her from the tornado, but she resisted and she paid the price by being like, she got handicapped from it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, what is wrong with him?
And then
Julie literally ran into a tornado to get away from him. Like she ran knowing that there's a tornado. She literally kept running into the tornado towards the tornado to try and get away from him.
And he was like, no, and trying to keep her safe. And she was afraid to go to him because he just attacked her. And it's like common sense. God. And then they literally are like, Yeah, okay, so it bothers me that just him helping around the house is supposed to, like, redeem that
my
horrible
God.
act, and
So
the way he
crazy.
continues to talk about it. So that bothers me, but then they talk about bullying grubs for sex and just talking about it for them buying it for a fourth of a soap bar because he was trying to go get his parents because he can get some bars of soap for his family. Not his parents, but for his mom and stuff. And then, yeah, and what is wrong with Sarah? Like, why is Sarah even with him?
Yeah.
Like, she even says, I hate you.
Yeah.
And yet she still hangs out with him.
I also, like, another section that I hated about this was that I hated how, so he was talking to, like, he was in the same room as Carrie and the baby, and they literally, like, I can't remember exactly, like, if Carrie, I don't think Carrie even really said anything to him, but John snapped, and then he literally had the thought where he was like, I'm going to hit her. And then we continued as a reader. Did you ever that went on too?
Yeah.
Where he said,
walks around, has
where he says, he goes, I want to hit her, but if I keep hitting her, I'm not going to stop until she's dead. And I was like, what the heck?
Yes.
That is crazy.
Yeah, well, he talks about literally just killing her.
Crazy. Yeah, he literally was like, I'm gonna keep hitting her till she dies. I was like, oh,
because he's
my gosh, you're a
about
psycho.
hitting like a grub that works in his home.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like this author feels like men, because they're born with testosterone, they all have anger problems. She did it with Alex.
Yeah,
and she did it with him, John. And I feel like that is so wrong and unnecessary.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Alex, I have a beef with him because
Do you?
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. Because I don't know if I just like misinterpreted this, but at the end of The World We Live In, we know that Miranda killed his sister, right? And I do recall that Miranda specifically said, I'm not going to tell him, at least not right away. He'll probably eventually figure out that I'm like keeping something from him and like I'll have to tell him, but like I'm not going to say anything. And then they don't bring it up again. So I was like, okay, Miranda just never told him. They get married, she gets pregnant. You hear, in the beginning of this book, we know like, we find all that stuff out. So in my head, I was like, okay, Miranda just has been keeping this a secret and never told him. But then we found out in this section, Alex did know the whole time. Miranda did tell him shortly after the end of the third book, before she was even pregnant, before they got married. They knew.
Oh, yeah.
And like Alex knew. I was like, so you find out that that Miranda literally killed your sister, and you're still gonna marry her? And to the point where he even was saying that, I don't know, I thought I wrote down the quote, apparently I didn't, but I was just like so shocked to find out that Alex knew this whole time. I don't know why, I don't know if I just misinterpreted it, but I was blown away when I found out.
He took off for a while and left Julie, but came back. Not left Julie, but left Miranda. And came back. So he did get mad at her and left and came back, if I remember correctly. But yes, I was really surprised by that.
Yeah. So those were all of the points that I had for this section.
I have one other one.
Okay.
When he finds the mother, I am so on Hate John right now. But when he finds his mom, the first thing he asks to himself is like, what did she do?
Yeah.
Type thing.
What
Like,
the
she
heck?
deserved it type thing.
Yeah.
And that is that. And I really wish I am not happy that the mother died.
No, I'm not
the
either.
fact that they made her die protecting her students is another thing I have a beef with. Like,
okay.
she didn't act like the students, like John said, where she cared more about them at all.
Yeah.
There was nothing that, like, expressed that at all. So
Yeah.
I was really shocked.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what they did.
so insane. And it makes me not want to finish the rest of it because it was one thing to be frustrated by the main character and be like, oh, I just don't like him. But now I just don't like the plot. Like now I just don't. I guess I want to finish it so that way I can see what happens with Miranda and her baby and
yeah, because I am curious to see the rest of it to see what happens.
But yeah, I'm not enjoying this plot at all. So.
I know, I'm not either. It's a hard one to read through.
For sure.
And next week we're going to be reading chapters 11 to the end.
Yep.
So we will be finishing this off next week.
Yep.
And I think we all feel like, thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it.
Thank goodness.
I'm reading it. I'm gonna read the rest of it to find out what happens with Miranda, but I can't wait to not read about John anymore because I really do not care about him at all.
Yes.
So
is that it for this week?
Yeah.
And then next week we'll dive into the rest of this.
Yep. All right. Well, that's another Babble about books.
Yes.
Okay. I just spit out my gum because it has no flavor anymore. That happens all